All right, welcome to the Fake Hundo podcast, the hashtag RPG discussion podcast, I guess. This is episode 0. We don't want to say episode 1 because we think it will be a train wreck, and we don't want that on our record. With us, we have Rename,
Hello.
CV,
Howdy.
and Soundboard. And Claude will join us, but he's got to take
As
a
soon
break.
as he gets on his
And
lazy ass and
I'm
gets in.
Chaos, as you can see by the thingy. So the first topic, I guess, would be why we create this podcast and what is hashtag RPG. So the reason we created this podcast is a good question, and I don't think any of us can really answer that. It was kind of a dare, and then it kind of turned into a thing. But I think what we want to do with it is discuss any RPG runs that people do, and then maybe organize a monthly RPG race.
The thing about RPG runs is that there's some people at the top, like the Puexels and whatnot, Feasel, whoever else does them, that people know who they are and they watch those RPG runs. But if you've ever been on the SRL page and even like off the SRL page, there's people with like less than 10 viewers who run RPGs that people would love to see. So anything we can do to provide more exposure to streams like that, I think is worth giving a shot.
We aren't making RPG yet, but that's in the works.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, my thoughts going into this are just trying to, I don't know how to word it without sounding stupid, but sort of raise RPG speedrunning awareness. Because I feel like a lot of people don't really take them serious and they just hear RPG speedrun and they don't even give them a chance. So, anyway, we can sort of get better information out there, show off just all that goes into the RPG speedruns in general. Just let people know that they can be just as exciting as any other speedrun.
Yeah, I think
If
with
you
RPGs
notice,
is like there's a lot of variety in the runs. Like some are super glitchy, some are super technical, and I think a lot of people associate RPGs with like Pokemon style, where it's just running into a wall of RNG. But for a lot of times, there's a lot of manipulation that goes into RNG, so it's not exactly like Pokemon, as some people think.
I was gonna say that one example of an RPG run, and I don't really want to like diss this as a game, but I think when some people think of RPG speedruns, they think of something like Final Fantasy X, which is like 12 hours long and has a bunch of cutscenes. Like obviously there's tech in it, but there's just a lot of cutscenes. But that's not the case with all RPG runs. There's a lot of variety.
Yeah, FF10 is definitely heavy with the cutscenes, and it's definitely true for some games. Like, obviously, the stereotypes exist for a reason for RPGs. But if you take a game like Chrono Trigger, where it's a relatively short game compared to other RPGs, and there's no like super cutscenes in the game. Worst part of the run is the 20-minute boss fight, but we are working on that.
You're working on
So,
that.
Lava shell skip hype.
so I guess we're gonna have FFT as the game of the week, but that guy's
I
not
don't
here.
even know. I don't know we have a game of the week.
Yeah,
At least
it was
like a
like an
hardline thing.
unofficial game of the week. So I guess let's
Yeah.
just go to the art. Oh,
Oh
okay,
god,
we're
chaos.
back up. It's fine.
Okay.
What did you do?
We dropped some frames, but don't worry. So I guess we could talk about our race of the month if we want. Unless anyone's got anything else to say.
Not really. Not that I don't want to say without Claude here.
Yeah, we don't really want to get on the hardline stuff without the other guy here.
All right. So we got 4 candidates for race of the month, and this is open to anyone, whether you're blind in the game or you're super expert. It's just kind of a community event, if nothing else, to kind of race RPGs because they are not the most active in the racing community. So first up, we've got Soul Blazer.
I just wanted to say something about the race of the month. This is another one of our like wacky ideas that we had for like spreading the RPG name, I guess, or the genre. Like one of the ideas we had was just a race. It was originally designed to be once a month, but and it was obviously not like like strictly blind or semi-blind, because one of our races was Mario RPG and Oxford was in the race, and I mean we still had a lot of fun even though he beat everybody by like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that sounded like fun. It was right before I joined though,
Yeah,
and I probably would have failed miserably because I've never even played that game before. Well, I did afterward. Um, so who's played Soul Blazer before in the chat, and would you recommend it as a blind race? Ooh, actually, I've got an idea. Same idea I had at the start of the game, or thingy. We have a snippet for Soul Blazer that the person who recommended it put in. Let's read it. So this should be a good game, which only takes about 2 to 4 hours depending on blindness. If you go for semi-blindness, you could check Ever Hates Twitch for tutorials on certain places in the game. So, I guess Ever Hates in the chat.
Well, with I know with Mario RPG and the first game we had that ended up being a disaster, Secret of Evermore, we had like route notes and speedrun notes available, so that if you wanted to be blind, you could be blind. But if you wanted to have like a route on hand or speedrun tech, like you could use whatever resources that were available.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think the idea is like everyone who's blind can't look at notes because it'd be cheating. I think the idea is just to do whatever you want. Like you can be blind without looking at notes, or you can look at notes. It's not like we're gonna call people on that.
You could even be the world record holder. You
Yeah,
could join the
exactly.
race, so you wouldn't care.
Yeah, like during that SMRPG race, like CB said, Oxus was in there, and the strat I decided to take was grind on those geckos for like an hour.
Dude, I did the exact same thing.
Yep, I still had fun.
I can't super jump at all, so what I did was just do a bunch of death abuse for like 30 minutes and then destroy the rest of the game.
Okay. A couple people saying they never played it, and couples, this game is awesome and easy.
Awesome and easy. Sounds good.
All right.
Because
I
RPGs are
didn't
hard.
I didn't play this game, but I did play Illusion of Gaia, which I assume is like the same people because it looks very similar. That game seemed kind of difficult, at least when I played it. So hearing that this is like easier, like that's kind of the goal. We don't want a blind race where like if you do something wrong, like it's incompletable, like what happened with the Evermore race.
Yeah.
Like especially since we're kind of coming back from not doing monthly races, the easy,
Yeah.
short-ish one might be good. So 2 to 4 hours, that seems like a decent.
Yeah.
So this seems like a good option. So next on the candidates, it might be that we just do these candidates in succession if they're all a good idea. But next we have Brainlord, which is also recommended on the spreadsheet, so we also have a comment for it.
Everhate wants to mention that Soul Blazer has almost no meaningful RNG in the entire run, which means it
that's
is a
also
great
good.
racing game, so we should probably consider it.
That's
I
a
gotta
very good option.
have a lot of RNG in my runs. I don't know about y'all.
I hate RNG. For real talk. Okay, so this is Brainlord. Not overly long, probably 4 to 5 hour range for a first timer with a guide, with no harsh penalty for dying. Is there usually a harsh penalty? But lose half your gold. Whoa, that's a
That's
penalty.
pretty harsh.
And warp to the last used save point. So harsher than most, actually. Also, poor translation should lead to a couple laughs.
I assume when he says no penalty for dying, it's stuff like it has to load your last save, like you have to you lose like 30 minutes of progress if you haven't saved in a while.
It says you return to your save point. So.
Oh, that seems pretty harsh.
Yeah, it seems like
But
average penalty.
But again, I haven't played this game at all, so I have no idea how true this is or not.
Yeah. So people are saying it's a good game. Is it a good game for a blind-ish race, or is it more for people that are experienced? Because it looks like, I'm not sure how optimized this video is. Looks like there's a lot of waiting. Like that waiting's probably to something.
This might not be a speed run.
It said speedrun.
Oh well, maybe it's a bad speed run.
Dude, look at this slowdown with the balls rolling and the orbs flying. I don't know about how speedy this game is if there's already slowdown built into the game.
There's a lot of balls going on. Oh, the ground. You guys will see the ground soon. So,
Okay.
All right.
I'm not as sold on it as I was with Soul Blazer.
Soul Blazer. So next on the list, kind of a known game, I guess. You have Chrono Trigger. So the benefits of this are there are a lot of people running it, including someone. Well, I haven't run it yet. So I can farm some points. And and a lot of people have played it even if they haven't speedrun it. What we're looking at right now is Odavino's world record because I already had the video and didn't want to download more runs. And the good, or I guess the bad thing would be there's a lot of technical tricks that if you're using the route notes, you would need to probably learn some, like especially like something like Zombor skip, where it's not like you can just recreate it easily. But I guess this would be a candidate for a more practiced monthly race, or perhaps just an organizing an actual race outside of the monthly thingy.
I don't
So
remember offhand, but when one of the games we raced was the NES knockoff of Final Fantasy VII, and I think that was kind of like a knee-jerk thing, like, oh, let's race this tomorrow. But I think for a game like Chrono Trigger, it would be something where like we'd want to decide it a couple weeks in advance
yeah.
and have the notes available for anybody in Hash RPG to like go over in case people wanted to actually learn the strats and whatnot.
Yeah, because
So
if it's anything like the SOE race, like some of those tricks and skips were really hard and they were
Yeah.
pretty annoying to do.
Well, the problem with the Evermore race was that I think the notes that were spread around were suboptimal, and it didn't really explain stuff. Like I know Claude, for example, uh, didn't do a specific skip, and he didn't know that if he failed the skip, it made the game incompletable. So
Yeah.
like that kind of caused him to
isn't there a lot of
forfeit.
technical tricks in that game too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very technical.
All I've heard about Secret of Evermore is that there's a lot of cool glitches and stuff, which usually means it's not exactly blind friendly.
I just want to say, as an
Right.
offhanded, just quick on this before we get back to Chrono Trigger. I remember when SRL Season 2 was like might happen, which was like 12 years ago. Evermore was considered as the RPG representative for Seasons, and I remember going to the stream of one of the runners of it at the time, and he told me that he thought Evermore was an awful racing game. So that was kind of the. I don't know if this is. I don't remember if this was before or after the race we did. I think it was probably after, but
I can understand how somebody would say that's an awful racing game.
yeah, because a lot of the tricks are if you don't get it, you reset the run. It's kind of hard to
Yeah.
do that in a race environment. So I understand.
Yeah, there's another. Yeah, if you're gonna do the Chrono Trigger 80% route, it's gonna be a practiced affair. Like, what we could do is like have like, if it's a particularly like challenging game, but we still want to race it, we could say like, in a few months we'll do this, so that people have time to at least like
Yeah,
learn
that
the
might be
basic stuff.
that might be a better idea. I mean, I
Like,
don't think Chrono Trigger would be terribly long, even if you fought all the bosses and didn't do any of the speed tech.
yeah.
But
But the problem would be like, there's no real route for fighting the bosses that I know of, but there might be.
yeah,
But as far as I know, the only real route is boss skip route.
Yeah. Even though as like messed up as the SOE race was, like doing a race with speed like the speedrun guide notes there was like really fun and an interesting way to do a race. I wouldn't mind doing it again. Like if Chrono Trigger has those kind of notes, I actually would be pretty down for that kind of race.
I think Claude's here. Should we drag him in?
Out here?
Yeah,
He's
let's
in
get
the
him in
Alright,
and
I'll get
unload him.
I'll do the thing. Yeah, he doesn't have
Yo, I'm here
headphones.
now.
Do you have headphones?
Yeah. Do you have headphones, Claude? Okay.
All right.
Alright,
I totally didn't swap my audio settings.
Okay.
Alright, I'm good now.
Alright, cool.
Continue.
So this is our other guest, Claude. Say hello.
What's up, y'all? I'm the Claude. You might know me from the stream I just had.
Wait, what did you just say your name was?
It sounds like the Claude.
Claude?
Alright. Sounds legit. Anyways, we're talking about the RPG monthly races. To catch you up. So we
Oh, thank
discussed Soul Blazer, Brain Lord, and we're talking about Chrono Trigger now. So far it seems like Soul Blazer is the most likely candidate for the next one. And Chrono Trigger maybe in a few months we'll do this for the RPG of the month, because we might want to give some people time to practice. Someone's saying chaos in the stream.
It seems like a thing where if like a lot of people would want to have the route notes for it, and then if there's some people who'd want to do it blind, like, but it seems like more people would probably want to do the speedrun route, so it would be a good idea to do it a couple months in advance.
And all the tricks, because I've been learning it myself, they're not too difficult once you understand the reasoning behind them. Like, the hardest one would be Zombor skip, but once you know what to do, it's not particularly tricky. But you do need to practice it. And if you want to avoid all the enemy encounters, you might want to go through each area a few times.
I'm turning south on this.
You don't
Yeah.
have to avoid the enemies.
Yeah, I guess so. You could fight
It
them.
takes time. Or you
As
can
long as there's an area like midway through the game, I can grind back up to where I need to be. I'm okay.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can grind at a Turan Palace.
Yeah, the old route I think used to have like 45 minutes of grinding at the Toronto Castle
The
because
Nichi Speed
yeah.
Demos Archive route has like 3 minutes of grinding, I believe.
yeah, I don't remember what the skill was, but it was like one of Ayla's last skills. I think maybe Dino Tail.
Maybe. I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah, I don't remember how long ago this was, how many iterations of the route ago it was, but I remember seeing like you get Ayla down to low health and you just have her spam Dino Tail in the fight.
Oh, right, there's the double Electro. Wow. Alright, that glitch that someone said in
Yeah.
the chat.
There's a glitch at the end of the game, if anybody's not familiar, where you I don't know the specifics of it, but you use an elixir on Lavos and you can kill both forms with it. But that's something you definitely have one. That's another example of something you wanted to have practiced before you get in.
Yeah, and if you don't want to do that, there'd probably be a lot more grinding to be able to defeat the last 2 forms of Lava Sand Match.
Yeah, that's actually really hard.
So it might be better just to learn the glitch.
Yeah, it's kind of an all or nothing thing. Like either you learn the whole route or you learn none of it.
So I guess we should put this on the in the future, perhaps.
This is a down the road idea, I think.
I kind of like that idea of having like shorter runs, like we can do like actually the monthly way we're planning, and then sort of have more complex ones planned out for the future.
Yeah, and also give people a chance to like learn some games if they want to beforehand, and see if they like the game, and they have an excuse to learn the game too. Because some people are like, oh, I want to learn this game, but they're never really motivated.
If a monthly race gets you motivated to run a game, all the better.
I'll put your name on the stream. It'll be so that's one thing to look forward to. Ooh, what was the last one? FF7 NES. Who won that?
No one won that.
No.
There were no
Dana
winners.
did.
Yeah,
Because
Dana
he
pissed
found
off.
the infinite money glitch.
Right, yeah. Credit Dana as
Yeah.
7.
That's another
winner.
bonus. If you take part in the monthly race, you can find game-breaking glitches like we did with FF7 NES.
Just on the fly.
Yeah. Except the Chaos had already like
FF7
locked himself out of winning. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And I
I do
tricked
know.
everyone into wasting a half an hour. That was cool.
I saved in an unwinnable battle room because I was too low of a level, and there's no conceivable way to win because there's no missing in that. At least I don't think so. Anyways, it would have taken like 0.001% chance to win. So I guess Chrono Trigger, we've decided if we are going to do it, it's going to be down the road. And the final candidate that we can discuss right now is Mystic Quest.
Mystic Quest is good. I've been doing
Oh,
like
baby.
a casual replay through Mystic Quest, and I think it's a really good race game. I know Elmagoose already has like notes for it, so
it's a very short. It's short and easy as far as the run because, like, I know the speed run's like 2.5, 3 hours, I think, and even if you're playing through it blind casually, it's like you could finish in 8 hours, I'd say. Like very first playthrough, reading all the text, all that stuff.
Sounds about right.
I've heard it's a very short game.
Yeah, I'd be down for a Mystic Quest race. Big time.
The detriment of Mystic Quest, which isn't really like that much of a detriment unless you're doing RTAs, is that there's a lot of little pieces of RNG. Like every fight could, like all the bosses can potentially kill you, but there's no, like when you game over, it starts the battle over, so you don't lose any kind of progress at all. It just like takes maybe like 2 or 3 minutes to get back.
yeah, I was watching a good friend from the Dawn community, New Prince 87, do like a casual speedrun of Mystic Quest, and he hadn't played in like forever, and he beat the game in like 6 hours with like not knowing what the hell to do. So that should be like a testament to serving as like a blind race candidate.
I think that's a really good length of not knowing what you're doing, semi-blind kind of speedrun time. Like if it's 6 hours with that kind of strats, like that's pretty good.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if like we have the notes, it'll be even shorter.
hmm
And the only skip that is known for right now is the elevator one, right? Or I don't even know, like the bucket. What would you call that one? And
You skip one of the bosses, I think.
yeah, Jin. You skip Jin and the little bucket elevator, and that seems to be pretty easy to recreate. And then the final note, of course, is use heal on the final boss.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that
everyone
would-
knows that.
Oh, the final boss is a zombie or something?
He's
I
some
don't know
kind
if
of
he's a
evil
zombie. It's
thing.
just that if you cure him, you do like 10 million damage to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's totally intended.
probably.
Probably.
So yeah, this sounds like a good race too. So I guess we should decide between Soul Blazer and Mystic Quest, but it looks like maybe do Soul Blazer this month and Mystic Quest the next.
I'd be alright with that.
I think we could do either one first before the other one, and it wouldn't be that big a deal.
Yeah. Like, does one require more learning if you want to learn it than the other, just in case someone wants to try to get good before it?
I don't know for sure, but I feel like Mystic Quest is something that you could get the notes and learn it in like 2 days if you needed to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Something-
the
it
RNG.
seems like something you could do on very short notice.
Yeah, the RNG seems to be the biggest hindrance in the length of a run.
Yeah, so I guess Mystic Quest this month then, Soul Blazer, because maybe people want to... We're not sure how Soul Blazer much learning would be required for that. But, so if we want to do it this month, what would be like a good day and time?
Well, I know that we
Mhm.
always did races on like I think it was Saturday because that was the best day for a lot of people in the RPG channel.
Yeah, we could
Yeah,
potentially use
Saturday's
that as
the best day
lead-in,
for me.
but we'd have to do it early in case... How early would we want to do it, though? Like, we don't want to do it too early and wake up early and stuff.
I
But,
think it's something that we kind of have to decide. I don't know if we could decide it tonight without
Hmm.
like input from other people in the chat, like the RPG channel and this chat. Maybe we could figure it out.
yeah.
Anchor brings up a point. The whole game runs are up to a checkpoint. I think our RPG, the blind runs or races we've done so far have all been full game, right?
FF7 NES was just to escape Midgar.
Oh, right, that's true. That
Thank
seemed
God.
long enough to be the full game. Yeah. So yeah, it depends on the game really and the length.
Yeah.
I mean, we always kind of talk to or know somebody that runs the game, so they give us a good checkpoint. Like this is a good place to stop for a blind run.
Yeah, we're open to like sections of our game. Like if like maybe Kefka at Narsh would be a great example because that seems to get a lot of people every week. But if like a game is really long, but like the first part of it's good for a race, we could be open to that.
Yeah. And if we are doing like a checkpoint, so like we're not going through the whole game, it'd be helpful if the section we are doing is eventful and not like we're not doing like the first hour of FF9 or something.
Yeah, that would be the key.
So yeah, like if it's gonna be like a checkpoint race, it'd be nice if it started off good. But so I guess we've decided on the RPG race. So Mystic Quest this month and then Soul Blazer the next. Dang, now we
Sounds
can't
good.
talk about it for 2 months.
That seems like a good
Yeah.
rough idea.
Alright, I guess we never really said what RPG, hashtag RPG. Obviously, it's a Speedruns Live channel. But maybe people
Yeah,
didn't know that.
it's on the Speedruns Live RC, obviously hashtag RPG. Basically, if there's any like RPG that you want to come in and ask about, like has there been runs of this, or does anybody have routes for this? Like that's kind of what the main use of it is. Like if the stuff you want to discuss with routing, like you could also do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very receptive and friendly chat, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
I
We definitely
do
don't
wanna-
complain about everything all the time.
Okay.
Oh, we
I've got
definitely
this-
always talk about RPGs all the time.
all right, all right.
And we have no problem with any other community, so don't even start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't be trying to stir things up.
Speaking of things
Um,
that we don't complain about, I guess we can talk about the namesake of our podcast,
Yeah,
the fake Hundo.
I guess it's kind of an in joke that we made based off of whenever somebody would do a 100% speed run on SRL or somewhere else of like a specific game, but like it wouldn't grab everything that you would think would be in a 100% run.
Yeah, because I mean, everyone always talks about this, but there's no real. It's really hard to truly get 100% in an RPG because there's
Yeah.
barely any with an actual like percentage counter that tracks in-game progress.
Yeah, I was gonna say that like 99% of RPGs is, for all intents and purposes, impossible to hammer down a 100% definition that everyone's gonna agree with.
Yeah.
And yet
'Cause,
people
like-
do it anyways. But
Well-
why?
Well, the reason why is that there's 3 official categories to the casual viewer: 80%, low percent, and 100%. So they want a cash grab on the casual viewers.
Is low percent an official enough category to be a third
Uh,
main one?
I don't know. It seems
For
like it's in
for
a lot
some
of games.
Some games.
It's
it
been
is.
grandfathered in by the Super Metroid community.
Okay, I'm
and
alright with that.
Soten stuff. And
Yeah,
like, there's
but-
no good reason to name a category 100% other than to, make it seem more official. Unless there is actual 100% counter,
Yeah.
which is probably where it originated from.
One of the biggest problems with doing an RPG 100% run is, I'm going to use this guy as an example of one that I thought was actually a really good close definition of 100%. Kainos did FF7 PC 100%. He's done that a few times. And it's got a bunch of robust stuff that he does, like get all materia, fight all the bosses, all ultimate weapons, all limit breaks, all stuff like that. And even in a definition like that, there's still people in his chat that are like, what about all treasure chests? Or what about max level for everybody? Or what about 99 of every item? Like stuff that people would never do in a speedrun capacity. And that's kind of one of the problems with defining 100% for RPG.
Yeah, I think for most games, like once you get bored of 80%, you want to move on to a different category. And I think 100% is just naturally what people gravitate towards. And then
Well,
the
I don't-
community has to define it.
I
Yeah.
honestly, if you want to do stuff like all side quests, all characters, or whatever else, like if you want to run something like that, I don't have a problem with it. But when you start like calling it 100%, that's when it starts to get gray area.
The only issues we have is with the name, not with actual like category you're trying to run. Like if it's interesting, go for it. It's just that you don't have to call it 100. You can call it something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. One silly suggestion that was brought up was naming it after the runner who made it. But, there's plenty of alternatives. You don't need to call it 100% if it ain't no 100%.
I would have a lot of categories named after me in the
I
games
know,
and
right?
restaurants.
Chaos percent 1, chaos percent 2.
Yeah, I think a better name would be to name 100% what it really is. But then you get into a whole issue where if you collect X of every item, X of every power, then like the category name becomes really long. So I can see why it would be an issue.
There's also an issue from the chat as well, because if you collect a bunch of stuff and you don't call it 100%, it's gotten to the point where people are just going to tell you to start calling it 100% because they get so epic mad that you're not using it that they like pressure you into doing it, which doesn't help.
Yeah. They'll just think you're running an arbitrary category.
Yeah.
Exactly, not a prestigious 100% category.
Yeah, but then you get on the flip side of the coin, if you don't call it 100%, just call it something custom, then you get to this situation where you gotta explain exactly what your category is every time you run.
Then there are some instances where it would be pretty easy to name it something, but the only reason they don't do it is to have a better, like, the more official name. Like, I think Chrono Trigger 100% might come up every so often, in that it should probably be called All Side Quests,
Yeah.
because you might have noticed that there are boss skips in 100% of Chrono Trigger, which seems
I didn't even
like
think
you
of
should
that.
fight all the bosses, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
When I thought of discrepancies in Chrono Trigger, I thought of like the endings, like the 12, 13 endings, and like the 100% run gets one ending. I thought that was a discrepancy. I didn't even think of the all bosses.
yeah, because you don't get any, or you skip bosses, you skip chests, which, no one wants to collect all chests, so I can sympathize.
I want to collect all chests. Don't tell me I can't.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned like get all items and all like max levels. Like that falls into the category of no one's ever going to do this in a speedrun capacity. So like don't really add it into the 100% quote unquote definition.
Yeah. And I think the argument is that you'd exclude things that would be uninteresting, but that's kind of subjective. Like, some people might want to see someone pick up chests for 2 hours. I don't know, maybe. But
I do.
Like skipping bosses, I think actual boss strats might be interesting, and obviously you won't see them in any percent because of you have to use the boss skips because it's faster.
I just want to toot my own horn for a second. One of the first games I ever routed and ran was the first Suikoden, and the only real glitch at the time was skipping the bosses. So there was like a category for doing that, and then skipping the bosses, and or not skipping the bosses, and then I just like that required me to do all the boss like find strats for bosses, which actually like added a bit of intrigue to the run, even if the bosses weren't like terribly difficult.
Yeah, for a lot of RPGs, the boss strats are the game, basically. Because there's a lot you can do if the system is very in-depth. Like in Chrono Trigger, for example, you can pretty much control the RNG if you're at a really high level. So if you didn't skip all those bosses, you might be able to find a very cool string of RNG to complete the game really fast. So I think they should call it all side quests, all bosses. It'd be pretty hype.
Sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Let's
want
do
to
it.
talk about FFT 100% or?
Yeah, I guess. So, like, a bunch of people have been begging me to do the FFT fake hundo because everyone loves fake hundos. Obviously, that's why we named the podcast this. So, what I thought about doing was I would just do a category called Completed Brave Story, where you just get an entry for every single thing you can possibly get in the Brave Story, which means you get every character and get an entry for every character, and you also get all, like, unexplored lands and ancient artifacts, which means you get every zodiac stone and you do every proposition. And that sounds like a pretty like well-defined goal that's not too arbitrary. But then there are people who are gonna be like, why didn't you steal Elmdor's like gear? Why didn't you move find every item? And it's just like, man, no one wants to see that shit. So yeah. I don't know. I think it's like as good as you're gonna get to like an FFT hundo without being too crazy.
Yeah. Are there? I know there's a 108 star CV. Would you like? I know some people consider that like 100%, but you make a point of making 108 people, right?
I used to call it 100%, but there's not much more you can do in the game, but there's enough that it bugged me to call it 100%, so I just call it 108 star.
Okay.
I think when FF Gamer ran it at C4L, I think he called it 100%, but like that's not something I'd really have a fight about, but I just prefer to call it 108 star. That seems accurate enough and people know what it is.
It probably makes it sound cool for a marathon as well. So I can see using 100% as the naming.
Yeah. People, I mean, there's stuff in RPGs that people don't get because they haven't followed it, but 100% is something that's pretty global in the speedrun community, so it kind of reaches with people sometimes.
Well, we're here to stop that. Stop the trend.
That's what this
We can make a
podcast has been
difference.
founded on. Preventing all fake hundos being
Jeez.
defined. Speaking of which, join me next week when I do Wild Arms 100%. It's going to be pretty hype. I'm not getting any Psycho Cracks. I'm not getting Rudy's Arms. I'm not getting all spells, but it's 100%. So get hype for that.
Nice.
Anyways, next topic. Okay, so we got some hardware deals. We got some PS2 issues. I'm going to load up the video. So there's a big issue with PlayStation speedrunning in that they're disc-based. And there are various PS2s that exist that can play at various different speeds, depending on the game, I guess. And we got a very good video to demonstrate this.
This is the best video. I think we should just play this the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just never stop playing this video. Leave it on the entire time.
Yeah.
Alright, so what you're watching is the opening of Xenogears, played on various different consoles, and the various timing differences from the get-go.
I watch this video every night before I go to sleep.
It's weird. I gotta wait for the video to load.
Oh yeah, we should probably figure out something for that. But yeah, as you
that's
can
alright.
see, based just from the get-go, the text is scrolling at different speeds or something. I don't know, Rudy can probably explain this better. But it's pretty obvious that there's no good way of speedrunning PlayStation games from this. So there's two ways you could kind of go about that. If you organize the community well enough, you can all agree to run on the same system with the same settings. or you can be realistic and just buy the fastest console so you can have edge over everyone else, which is something that happens in a lot of communities. And I know, Claude, you're looking at some PS2s for FFT.
Yeah,
But,
if I had my way, I just have it be that everyone plays on the same console, like the same model of the console. That way, it's competitive, and no one tries to get an advantage by getting like some kind of like ancient PS2 they don't make anymore, like a 50K. Not that they actually make these anymore, but like one that's like harder to get. So you get like a 1 minute advantage or whatever. Just everyone get the same thing. Everyone plays on the same thing, and just roll with it. And I just think that running on like a PS2 just because that seems to be the PS2 that most speedrunners tend to go towards anyways, and it's usually the fastest, but not always. That's just if I had my way.
yeah. For me, I just run my PlayStation games on the PS3 just because it's on the PSN. It's pretty much available to anyone. And basically, it's just the console I have. And it's not like I have competition.
I guess I should also say it's only if you actually care about competition. I mean, if you're just doing it for fun or whatever, you run on whatever the heck you want. But I just feel like if you do care about competition, you should probably standardize it towards something. I don't particularly care what it is, but it should probably be like one model everyone plays on, so you don't have these situations that exist in other communities because we're better than that. IMO.
Agreed.
Yeah, I guess RPG
honestly,
benefits
I've never-
from no competition, so.
I've not really ever been one. I've never really been running a game where there's a lot of competition, but I always just wanted to use whatever PS2 that I had, and I didn't really care if somebody had another one that was limited dash. Like I'll just eat the time loss, I guess.
And I guess
Like
an
if-
offshoot of that is emulators versus real consoles, especially for PlayStation games. There can be very big differences.
That's kind of a game by game basis, at least what I found. Like if there's a game that has a lot of load times and emulators just like breeze right through them, like that's not really fair to compare emulator and console times in that case.
Yeah. And it kind of puts the burden on someone to verify whether or not they're the same, if you really care about that sort of thing.
Well, I know emulating disc-based games, at least as of right now, some of them are touch and go. Like you can tell weird emulator glitches here and there.
Yeah.
Like there'll be a
Like-
blue screen where there should be a background or something like that.
Or menu sounds and what was Soccer Friends here?
Yeah, like weird sounds in certain places.
And just talking about Wild Arms, because I know a bit about that. There's an emulator glitch. Well, not so much a glitch as in it lets you do more things than the console. The very big thing is for the Japanese version, where there's a glitch that basically will freeze the Japanese version if you open a menu at the wrong time. And on emulator, this isn't the case. So on emulator, the route is actually slightly faster because you don't have to account for the game freezing by opening the menu, so you can go fast. And there's also a glitch, glitch in 100%, which is actually impossible on the Japanese console version because it requires opening the menu at a certain moment. So in that case, it's kind of bad to run the emulator. Or if you follow the rules of the console, I think it'd be fine. But if you're not, we're going into Soul Blazer.
Why didn't you just have this video repeating?
I don't know how to do that. Wait, hold on. Nah. Won't do that live. And another category we have for hardware is turbo versus non-turbo. And I think we're all in agreement except one person that turbo is for cheaters.
Hello? No. Turbo's awesome.
So obviously
What
the
kind of torn
argument
on it?
against turbo is that it's not a part of the official hardware. So it makes people that use the official hardware at a disadvantage. And the argument for is that it's faster.
Well, not only is it faster, but it's like more consistent because you don't have to like deal with inconsistent mashing when you're going through like text boxes and stuff. You can just hold down a button, you can focus on like more meaningful gameplay elements. That's how I've always seen it.
I don't know that I would argue this, but I think you could argue that that's part of the skill in doing a game, but I don't know.
Yeah, for an RPG it's kind of like you can mash with a certain amount of buttons, but it's pretty much random if you're advancing the text fast enough or not. Or at optimal speed, rather.
I mean, I have a PS1 knockoff Turbo controller, and I tried doing Turbo with Suikoden, for example, and I think it's faster to match just because of the way the matching is in that game.
How about this? You allow turbo for every like, Japanese version of a game you run, but just ban turbo for every North American release. That's it. Simple, easy, done.
That seems to be what a lot of like Final Fantasy runners have done, because the Nico communities, the Japanese speedrun community, they've done turbo in a lot of RPGs. Like I don't really know if anyone knows why, but they just have.
Yeah, I guess that falls in line with a community agreeing on a standard, and then it's fine.
Yeah, I think honestly, it's another one of those probably game by game basis.
Yeah. Luckily, the English communities tend to go against Turbo, so we don't have to import exclusive or expensive Japanese controllers.
Yeah, that's probably the problem, is that you have to buy a specific controller as well.
Yeah, because I got a crappy PS3 controller with Turbo, but mashes at like I don't know, like twice a second. So it's like, well, I could do better than this. And for
There
some
has been
games, there'd be
talks,
mashing.
I think about Final Fantasy IX runners switching to turbo for that game. At least I remember Karakarn talking about that, because there is a lot of mashing you have to do in that game, and
Doesn't,
obviously it's like 9 hours long. But I don't know if it'll actually happen.
Doesn't FF9 have a weird like text advance where you have to mash or alternate between two buttons to go faster? Like
I'm
you
not
have to
sure.
hit circle and X like alternating. I might be wrong about that, but I think that was a thing for FF9.
You kind of have to do that for FFT as well. You have to go between Circle X and Select because it doesn't accept simultaneous inputs. You kind of just have to piano the buttons.
Yeah.
I mean, as for your solution for doing turbo for Japanese, since the Nico community, if you're going to compete with the Nico times, like that's probably something that you have to do because they all do it. Like, personally, I would like to know why they decided to do it before doing something like that. But I mean, if that's what they do, you kind of have to do it, or else you just eat the time lost from text mashing.
I think it really is just so it makes it more consistent, because some people like just naturally can't mash very fast, but they can do like everything else in a video game. I've heard this mentioned like Mega Man communities and stuff, but if you allow turbo, then suddenly that like equalizes the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like it's a little different though, as far as a game like Mega Man and RPGs would go, because aside from progressing text boxes, I can't really think of too many instances where turbo would be beneficial, just like the game.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is Wild Arms apple mashing for the win. Because in the task, you have to basically mash for 2,000 inputs, and the task just does it instantly, and humans can't quite go that fast. But for Turbo, it'd kind of make the run less mash heavy.
I think another argument is that, like, no matter how much you practice, you might not be able to increase your mashing skill, but you can practice, like, everything else and eventually get really good if you have the time, but you might not just have, like, the physical, like, dexterity or whatever to be a good masher, so it's another argument for turbo, I guess. But maybe you can argue that that's part of the inherent, advantages or disadvantages to being a speedrunner, but
Yeah.
I don't know, it seems kind of silly to me.
I think a lot of the problems with speedrunning is that games weren't designed to be a speedrunning outlet, so that it's not possible to find a fair solution.
Another
Because there's
issue
just
is
too
if you
many
don't allow
differences.
turbo, you get like a lot of ghetto solutions like you find in the dog community, where you just like you have to find a spoon and just like mash that spoon across all the buttons to simulate turbo, which is kind of funny.
Is that actually faster?
That's a real thing.
Oh god.
Yeah,
We should
I thought the spoon thing was a joke.
we should
to
got
be
the spoon
honest.
video. Hold on.
Don't do this live.
Yeah,
Come on
please
now.
play the spoon video on stream and be seen.
It's fine. It's fine.
But yeah,
so
one
I
of the I
guess-
guess like I'm kind of inherently anti-English turbo, but I could probably be talked into it. But one of the arguments that Claude said was, you can always improve menuing, but turbos or mashing is probably something you can't menu too much or practice too much, improve on.
Yeah, and there's other things that I'm not sure how well people can cope with certain timing in certain games. Like maybe there's some sort of limitation there. But then there's no solution for that sort of thing. But at least Turbo would kind of even the playing field. But then it kind of even the playing field in that people with actual skills in mashing, they don't get to demonstrate that because everyone else can do it with a turbo controller? Hold on, I'm getting the spoon video.
Thank you.
It's not your spoon video though.
Oh, dang.
So I guess naturally we can talk about, well, it's not really relevant, but I guess if a RPG was released on the IQ, would you get it? If it's a RPG you
Absolutely,
speedrun?
yes.
All right, well, we got Claude's opinion. CV, would you get the IQ to speedrun your game if it was faster?
It would probably depend on the game. But
To be fair, just to clarify, I wouldn't do it because I cared about it being faster. I would do it just for the novelty of having an IQ and being able to say I run a game on IQ because I think that's really funny to me.
All right, here's how to
Well-
mash. Keep going.
I was gonna say that like I could waffle about something like this, but I recently got a PS3 like a month ago, and the very first game I bought for it was Suikoden 1, which I already own on disc. So I mean, because the PSN version is a version that a lot of people who have picked it up have run because it's by far the most easily accessible. So I mean, if it's something that I guess if it's something that a lot of people like thought was faster, then if I was into competition, I'd probably have to pick it up.
Yeah, I think the main problem is accessibility, which kind of comes back to the turbo controller.
Yeah,
Like, you gotta spend money to be fast.
I'm
And-
kind of against that, but I mean, but I'm the kind of person who will eat the time loss in that situation. Some people don't want to do that.
All right, looks like the spoon video hit the stream.
I don't really agree with like spending money just for artificial time increases, but I do kind of agree with spending money just to be on an even playing field with whoever you're trying to compete against. Like, need money just to be able to compete, then yeah, you should probably be able to do it. But if you're gonna like buy a system or whatever just to get a faster time and no one else is playing on that system, then that's just kind of dumb.
Yeah, I'm not saying I
'Cause-
did that for my PS3, but I did buy it on PSN.
Did
'cause-
rename drop?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
His computer exploded. Rip.
Yeah, Porxel brings up a good point that SDA and SRL, like SDA runs and SRL races, all ban turbo, so it's nice to have a consistent rule set.
Yeah, I guess it's good to have like a sort of governing body to prevent people from getting a leg up,
Yeah, I mean,
to kind of
speedrunning
enforce.
speedrunning doesn't really have an official quote-unquote governing body, but the closest thing would be SRL and SDA.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can definitely see. I just wouldn't get a turbo controller unless I had to compete, but then that says something about the people that got it originally. Well, the Japanese community, obviously, if you're competing with them, because they don't see any problem with it. It's probably easily accessible for them. But
I mean, that's
for
kind of-
games like in the English community, I wouldn't try to get a leg up just to be faster artificially.
That's kind of the reason why the language barrier bugs me about that, because I would like to hear the line of logic as to why they eventually started using turbo for everything. Because, like for years, U.S. runners have not been using turbo at all, so it seems kind of foreign, for pardon the pun, to just all of a sudden start doing turbo when we haven't been doing it for the longest time.
Yeah, and they also have that whole don't use glitches thing for a lot of their runs, which
Yeah.
they just have a very different mindset when speedrunning than us, for some communities at least.
I don't know. Just comes down to the community, obviously. Like you guys mentioned, like if a community wants something and everyone wants it, then just give in and do it because competition is fun. And running something by yourself, it can also be fun, but it can also get old after a while. It's more fun with more people competing on the same thing. So, yeah, case by case basis, I guess. But I still think my global idea of turbo for all Japanese, non-turbo for all English is pretty good.
That's not a bad compromise. I mean, I'm assuming that pretty much every Japanese RPG, for example, uses turbo. At least everyone that I have found uses it. So seems like
Yeah.
a good baseline thing.
Speaking of communities, we got some relays, or I guess one relay. We got a relay to talk about, the SNES FF relay. Are signups still going on, or?
Yeah.
I think they're through the 13th, which is this Friday.
And it's 4, 5, and 6, and they got like 12 people for 4 or something. or
Yeah,
something crazy.
they're kind of set on Final Fantasy IV runners.
Do they still need some more FF6 or haven't kept track?
Puexel's in the chat. So he'll probably
Yeah.
update us whenever he hears it. But I think last I checked, one of them had 3, one of them have 2, but this was like a few days ago. And I think this is before a lot of the FF6 run. Like I think none of the FF6 runners from the previous relay have said yes or no yet.
Sign-ups open until next Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
The only issue I have with the relay, and again, I say this with all respect, is the fact that you pretty much have to run FF5 on an emulator unless you have a flash card, because it has to be in English, because everything else is going to be in English, and you want to standardize the text speeds and whatnot. And you don't want to force people to learn Japanese, which I can understand. And I don't know, it's always kind of bothered me, because when Nico does its relays, obviously they'll do it on console, and it's obviously because it's all in Japanese and they just do 4, 5, and 6. But here you kind of have to like load up an emulator. Then emulators can be kind of different in how they handle it. So it's like, do you standardize the emulator? Do you actually force people to buy a flash card or what? And I don't know. That's like the only problem I have with it.
Well, if you want the joke response, you play on the PlayStation version or the GBA version. There you
Oh,
go.
you gotta get that SNES Slim, man.
There you go.
Speaking of the SNES Slim, flash that. All right.
Yeah, like Poexel said, I just think like FF5 doesn't really fit in with. I mean, I know it makes more sense to go from 4 to 5 to 6, but FF5, because it didn't come out on console in North America like way back in the day, it doesn't really fit in with the spirit of the relay, I suppose. So it kind of would make sense to replace it with another game in the future, like Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
I know Mystic Quest has been talked about as a potential like quote unquote bonus game, but if they did 4 or 6 in Mystic Quest, I think they'd get plenty of signups for all the games. And I
It'd
guess
just be
if
kind of
anybody,
strange, just jumping from
guess-
4 to 6.
yeah, I guess if anybody's curious, I'm pretty sure that everybody in the FF5 race either used the flash cart or the latest version of SNES 9X, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, and that's the one that emulates, right? Correct?
Yeah. I think it's SNES 9X 1.51 or newer is emulates accurately.
So it's a good compromise because there's no good like solution to it. So it's either have another game or have the emulator or flash card, I guess.
It's like Poexel said. Also, FF5 has a smaller running community than 4 or 6 because with the first relay, I think they kind of had to struggle to find enough runners to do FF5, and it remains to be seen if they're going to get the 4 solid runners for this upcoming one. So it might be harder to do in the future.
I'm guessing
It's easily the
FF5 wasn't
weakest
released on
game, which
VC,
is another reason to drop it, I guess.
but there's the step count.
Impossible.
They should just release it for VC, then it'll be good.
No.
Everyone should run everything on VC. It's the most accessible.
Have the other FFs come out on VC? I think Chrono Trigger did, but I don't know about 4 or 6.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure about that. I guess we can talk about the ESA schedule, or ESA.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about relays and whatnot.
I know SGDQ has very few actual RPGs on the schedule. ESA has been doing a thing where they have 2 streams on at once, I think. And between the 2 streams, by my count, they have like 13 RPGs.
Whoa, I didn't. Oh, right, yeah, we're counting. Including
Yeah.
WNJ.
Do you want me to list them? Because I'll go ahead.
Yeah, why not? Do it.
It's Mass Effect 2, Dark Souls, Morrowind, FF13 Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy IV, Golden Sun, Pokemon Fire Red Leaf Green, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, Tales of Symphonia, Phantasy Star Online, Dark Souls 2, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, and Final Fantasy VII PC. Those are the RPGs on the ESA schedule between the 2 streams.
What was that last one again? Oh, FF7 PC.
Yeah, FF7 PC, the glitched Yuffie warp route.
Oh, nice. I've never watched that. I should do that. I guess I'll watch it during ESA.
It's kind of wacky. It's kind of hard to follow, but Kindness is pretty good at explaining it, so it'll probably be alright.
Does anyone know much about those RPGs on there?
Sorry, my computer had a little malfunction there. The ESA RPGs?
Yeah.
Just I guess for clarification, most of those I believe are any percent. KH2 Final Mix is critical mode, which I think is hard mode. Final Fantasy IV is the 64 stair glitched route.
I don't think that's what it's called.
Yes, it is.
It's a
That's
long
the
name.
technical term. It's kind of commonly-ish known as Die Hard percent. It kind of skips the second part of the game. And Golden Sun is 100%, which I think is all of the Djinn monsters. That's the quote unquote 100% of it. Yeah, the fake hundo of Golden Sun, I guess. Oh, and I think Symphonia, I believe, is New Game Plus any percent. I forgot about that one.
So is Symphonia just impossible to do without New Game Plus, or
It's probably just longer. I don't
just
know
a
how
lot of
much.
grinding or something?
I don't know how much. Yeah, it would probably require grinding. Because I know with Tales games, I believe, with New Game Plus, you can just carry over like rewards. Like you can carry over your items, your weapons, like an experience multiplier, a money multiplier, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, that'd probably make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
I thought it was just keep levels, keep items. Oh,
Yeah, it seemed
I
to
muted my
be
mic.
a.
No, wait,
I
never
don't
mind.
believe I don't know if Symphonia is the same way, but I'm pretty sure you don't keep your levels. It's just like you collect so much stuff that bosses end up being trivial anyway.
FF7 will be all weapons with the FE warp.
Yeah, that adds like an hour. I think you fight.
Oh, weapons,
Emerald
weapons.
Emerald and Ruby, not like the
I thought you
not
just
like
got
the
like all
hitting,
the equipment.
not the hitting weapons.
Symphonia
Yeah,
is a few hours longer on New Game.
Yeah, it's a 7-hour estimate. I remember that. The new game run is apparently like 9-10 hours.
Yeah, it'd be a bit long for a marathon. Even 7 hours is pretty long, but I guess it's
Yeah.
better.
Really, new game is slower. It's kind of weird.
I
Is
don't
that-
know. I don't know
Really?
that this is.
Is that what I'm? That's what
Well, new game is slower because.
Yeah, it's New Game Plus.
Oh, I was thinking new game plus. Oops. My bad.
I mean, just to kind of offshoot for a second, a lot of people are kind of negative on New Game Plus runs because some of them, depending on the game, make the game like trivial by comparison to New Game runs. Like you just like walk through everything and just watch the cutscenes. So I mean, I don't think Symphonia is like that, but there
Yeah.
are other games like that that kind of sour people on it.
Yeah, I think when you think New Game Plus, you just think, yeah, you're all level 100, you have
Yeah,
all the items, you just walk through everything.
You think level 99, all your weapons, you just walk through everything in one hit. Just to use an example, Xenoblade Chronicles is like that. The new game run is like 10 to 12 hours, and the new game plus run is like 4 hours. Because you have all your levels, you have all your weapons, all your items, all stuff like that, and you just walk through everything.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some new game plus runs that, like, I was looking at doing a routing Atelier Aisha, the PS3 RPG, and I was gonna do a new game plus only because I think the only benefit you get is being able to skip cutscenes. Like, I think you may keep your gold too, but that's really the only plus side is not having to watch all those cutscenes. And if I was able to run a category without the cutscenes and all gameplay, I would much rather do that than just sit through hours of cutscenes just so I'm officially running a new game run instead of a new game plus run.
Yeah, a quote unquote interesting run. I know
No.
Suikoden
Yeah.
4 is like that as well. You can skip cutscenes in New Game Plus, which makes it like 3 hours as opposed to like 10.
But then when are you supposed to go to the bathroom?
It's true.
That's what cutscenes are for, right?
It's good. Some of them are.
You're not
Some of
getting
them you
the
gotta
RPG experience.
Some of them you got to mash through, so you got to keep mashing. So you got to sit there.
Unless you play on PS3. Cough,
That's
cough.
true. Have a wireless controller.
Not that I'd do that.
But yeah, I was surprised to see so many RPGs on the ASA schedule. It's pretty nice surprise.
Yeah,
But like every RPG is going to be on like a separate channel running simultaneously with the other games, or is it going to be on the mainstream? I'm not sure how it works.
They're doing 2 streams. 8 of the games are on the long stream, and 5 of the games are on the short stream, so to speak.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
I
not
just
like
didn't
they're
want them to
segregating.
stick like all the RPGs onto like one other stream that no one watched. I feel like it should be on the mainstream as well.
Oh, dang.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
that.
No, it's not like let's banish all the RPGs to their own corner where nobody watches.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. That sounds fine then.
Oh well.
Yeah,
If you need them, let us know.
Let's not worry about that. Anyways,
Yeah.
I guess there are a bunch of RPGs that we counted, but we don't really talk about because they're kind of a different community, like Dark Souls. And is there Pokemon on there? I think Pokemon X is on it, right?
Pokemon Fire Red Leaf. Yeah.
And Mass Effect, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all cool runs, but I guess #RPG is kind of biased towards JRPGs, even though
Yeah.
we are RPGs in general.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of RPGs, and I absolutely love the Mass Effect series, but honestly, they don't even feel like RPGs to me.
Yeah, it's
Like
something
they're
I never
kind of-
really.
They're kind of a shooter RPG.
Yeah, they're a shooter hybrid, yeah.
Yeah, it's something I never really thought about it, but like before we started the podcast, we talked about it a little bit, and the RPG chat room really is sort of skewed towards JRPGs, but it's not like it's JRPG only. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to pop in and talk about any other kind of RPG, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to talk about Fallout or other Western RPGs, like, feel free.
Yeah, the thing with #RPG is that the people in there are the people that discuss the game, so it's just that we don't have any of those people in there.
Yeah.
I've never played a single Western RPG my entire life except for Diablo 2, if that even counts. So
Yeah, that counts. I played the Dark Souls games, and I really like them as casual. There's some silliness in the communities, but with the categories, but that might just be a misunderstanding from outsiders. Dark Souls 2 looks like a good run, though.
Yeah, Dark Souls 2 80% is down to 17 minutes. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. That's definitely something I want to watch. I've never watched the run. Is it good? Has anyone watched it?
I haven't watched it yet.
I'm avoiding it because spoilers, even though I don't think I'd miss much, but
You might miss the final boss if that.
You missed the part of the game where you float through the sky and through the ground and all that stuff.
You miss when Link kills Ganon, basically. Or not miss, rather. Yeah, Brainlord and Soulblazer are hack and slash RPG hybrids. Yeah, that's what they look like. I guess the only, like, pure RPG was, well, Chrono Trigger and Mystic Quest. Is Mystic Quest a pure RPG, or have, like, elements of other genre?
Mystic Quest is pretty much RPG.
Yeah.
Wasn't it called something else in Japan or something?
It was called Final Fantasy USA.
In Japan? Oh, because it was developed by, who was it developed by? Like the USA branch?
Yeah, I think so. They came out in America first. That's why.
Hmm. And
There's
Secret of
intended to be
Evermore was like that too, right?
Beginner RPG for Western audience. That's why it was so easy.
They think we're bad.
Yeah.
Which, you know.
Well, we were bad back then.
We've learned.
Now we know better.
Alternatively, I think Quest 64 is actually easier in Japan. Because they decided the game was stupid and toned it down.
Dude, Quest 64 is not stupid.
I
Alright.
still need to watch a run of that. Isn't it like one of those so bad at good game?
Yo, let's do a blind of that next.
No.
On the list.
Okay.
I do have
Nintendo
a card.
announced.
I do
sold my-
too.
Oh
I
dang,
sold
running
my
on
card of it.
console.
I bought a cart recently. Well, like 2 months ago because I was planning on running it.
So
And then
I'll
I
use
started
Project
taking
64.
notes.
Project
Yeah.
64 version 2.0, I think that's the good version, right?
Yeah, totally.
No, it's not.
Sounds good to me.
And so, what time are we at? I guess we're about at the hour mark for when we start the podcast. So, anyone got anything they want to talk about? Seems like we had something else we should have mentioned.
Hmm. I don't know. I think we did pretty good coverage.
I'll check my notepad. You guys cover for me.
Where is the soundboard?
Need wacky sound effects.
I'm the one doing the wacky. I said cover for me, not get me to make sound effects. And
Oh,
you got,
okay.
okay, there we go. I was gonna say he's not even
No.
in the channel.
Yeah, I just want to say again, if you're interested in speedrunning RPGs or are currently speedrunning RPGs, feel free to join the RPG chat room in the Speedruns Live IRC channel. It's just hashtag RPG. We are very welcome to newcomers, and
As
we don't
long-
always talk about RPGs, but
Yeah, as long as you can put up with us being goofy sometimes, like
yeah.
that, you kind of find that in most communities, to be honest.
Oh, I guess we can
RPG
talk
runners
about.
aren't monsters. We're
Yeah.
human just like you. We speedrun just like you.
Mhm.
So,
I
you know,
think-
feel welcome. We
I
won't make
think-
fun of you.
The major difference between RPG runs and other runs is, I don't know if we ever touched on this, but there's a lot more that goes into routing. Like, it's not just like, let me do this game. It's like you got to do like meticulous routing to get a good run.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably like the biggest thing that differentiates RPG runs from other games. Like another game, you just pick it up and be like, okay, play through it, kind of figure out some tech as you go along, and be like, then reset and be like, okay, it's time to do a run. But an RPG, you have to plan things out like weeks, sometimes even months in advance, like what I did
And-
with FF5 before I quit it forever.
And one of the things is that routes can get really intensive, and that's where good commentary comes into play, because the runner has to be able to tell people why, maybe what they're doing and why.
Yeah, and
it's
that's
true.
probably
I mean,
discouraging.
when you play an RPG, you're going to be there for a while. So even if you're not one day, usually like chat people up or whatever, you should probably get used to it, because otherwise you're just not gonna have, like the stamina to like keep resetting and keep doing runs if you don't have like some kind of interaction with your chat. So mic really helps.
Yeah.
And I think what you'll find with RPGs is that because they tend to have smaller communities, the people that do run them are more willing to help you learn the games. At least whenever I see someone like running Wild Arms, I try to help them as much as I can. And I know like a lot of people will do that for their games too. So I guess that's a good thing in that there's not a huge community that's not welcoming new people. Although I'm not sure if that actually happens.
Well,
in
I
other-
mean, for a game like SN64 Super Mario World, there's like a website you can go to that has all the routes and all the videos and stuff written down, so you don't even have to talk to anybody to learn it, basically.
oh yeah,
But
sure.
with an RPG, like that, it really helps if you can find somebody who's run it before, or a video. Like I've actually got routing ideas from people who haven't run the game. They just have ideas of routing from like the games they ran, like stuff they had to do, and it's like they have applied that to the game that I'm doing and help me figure out some stuff so people can do that.
Still waiting for Invisible Vicky run.
It's coming sometime,
I
someday.
don't know, man. It seems coded way too well.
What, Invisible Vicky?
No, Suikoden 2 in general.
Oh.
Suikoden 2 has a bunch of glitches. It's just some of the glitches are so good that it kind of obsoletes the other glitches.
Hmm.
There's a glitch in Suikoden 2 where once you get your armor shop, you can get as much money as you want, but you don't even need to do that in a speedrun, because you're just whopping on everything.
Oh, we never showed the... Oh well. We had another time discrepancy video, but we can save that for...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another topic. We still have to cover that one.
Well, I think we're running a little low on time.
All right.
Next time.
So I guess we wanted to talk about some streams that people should check out, RPG style.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So anyone got anything?
Yes, I do. Let me get a link here. Ready? Speaking of, I know Claude mentioned before, when you run RPGs, you got a lot of, not really downtime, but just time where there's not always tons of action going on, where you're going to need to be commentating and explaining what's going on, and that's a huge part of doing RPG speedruns. And this guy right here, RPG chat room. Din isn't here. He does a lot of Dragon Quest speedruns. He used to do Mega Man speedruns. Mega Man, what was it? Network Transmission, right? No. What's
I
that
don't
game
know.
keep making me game? Y'all know I'm about to link. Come on now.
Star
Anyways,
Force
it's
or X Command Mission.
yeah. He's doing a lot of Dragon Quest 4 runs lately, though. There
I
it
think
is
it's
there.
Command Mission.
Yeah, Command Mission. He used to run that. He's not doing it too much anymore, but he's doing Dragon Quest 4 runs now. And Dragon Quest runs can be pretty daunting, but like just watching and listening to his commentary, yeah, I mean, it's so easy to get into it, understand why everything's going on. The game's in Japanese too, but just he's so good at commentating and explaining. It's actually an entertaining run watching a Dragon Quest game. So, I mean, if I had to plug anybody right now, I'd say watch that. He normally does the Dragon Quest runs on the weekends, but aside from that, he does Mega Man, like Rockman and Forte on the weekdays. If you like that too, it's a small bonus, but
I was gonna say
very
that
entertaining.
certain RPGs kind of are more hingent on having good commentary, and I think Tonic and Fiesel are two examples of people who are good enough at commentary that it makes watching a Quest or Dragon Warrior game more tolerable
Oh yeah.
or or even entertaining to some people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Certain
running
games
games in Japanese in general requires like really good commentary if you want people to know what's going on, because obviously you have everything memorized, but no one else is gonna know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And some RPGs are so technical you need a lot of explanations, even if it's in English. Like FFT, there's a lot of commentary in the No Math Run. There's a lot of
Yeah.
like subtle choices that you have to make to get the things to line up.
Yeah.
To put over one of our co-hosts, I think Claude is really really good at commentary, and it makes like a lot of people love FFT as a game anyway. Like a lot of people come into this chat and are like, "Oh my god, my nostalgia!" But I think Claude does a really good job of explaining why he does things in the speedrun.
And
Thanks for the plug, CV.
Agreed.
Like,
there's
I'll
gonna be
send
a
you your
big plug
check
at the
after
end.
the podcast.
Oh, you wait for your plug. And I'm gonna plug this guy. He's a fellow Wild Arms runner. He's even doing a run right now. Steph watching us.
Dang.
There's Tide. He runs all the long Wild Arms games, so I don't have to, but I will eventually.
He's run 3 and 4 so far, right?
Yeah, he's learning, or yeah, I guess he's doing a time attack of 3 now, and he's most known for his 4 run.
Yeah, he did a segmented Wild Arms 4 run on SDA, and he did a RTA run of it at Crystals for Life this year.
You'll probably recognize, right, he's not in stream, but he was the one with the swag jacket. You'll probably know what I'm talking about just from that.
Oh yeah. He was the most swag person present.
I guess that's good for plug-in fellow streamers. We'll come up with more next time.
Yeah.
And if you want,
be prepared with them.
you can
Yeah.
join our channel and stream, and we'll see how your RPGs are, and we can plug you next time or something.
Oh.
That's an incentive. Anyways,
Sure.
big incentive, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, that looks like it's it for episode 0. The stream didn't drop, which it was actually dropping like every 5 minutes right before it began, so good thing it didn't. I was kind of thinking it would be a train wreck.
We were all pretty worried about it.
It wasn't a bad
Cheers
episode.
for good work, all.
We covered some stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
And we got a sweet credit screen that's about to come up. Well, bam.
Oh, do we?
Oh boy.
Be sure to check it out, Pod.
PogChamp.
Yep. Thanks for stopping by,
It's
everybody.
a very special credit screen for you.
Yeah.
At some point in the future, we'll probably have a dedicated Twitch channel for this, but until then, I guess we'll do it on my stream.
Yeah. It's just sort of a test run.
Yeah. And we're also trying to figure out when is a good time. We did it this time, obviously, because we could get the raid and get the viewers. But we'll try to find a more permanent
esports.
position.
Yeah. Chaos, why are you at the bottom of this credit screen?
Because I got the ...
Okay.
I'm like Norm from Cheers. I said that.
Oh, that's right.
Ooh, I like the link to my stream. Thank you. It's completely accurate.
We
What
waffled.
in the world?
We honestly waffled about that for like 2 minutes at least. Which
Well,
one
no,
we
it's
should- we should put
perfect.
in?
That's the actual link.
I was actually not going to
Nobody
include the
plugged
first
Dream
link,
Boom?
but it was decided that we should probably put both your streams in there.
Raid target is Dream Boom.
Absolutely, always, every single time.
Is he streaming?
No,
No.
doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter.
All right.
All right. That's it for us. And who wants to... What's our raid target?
Dream Boom?
Dream
No,
Boom.
I don't know. I guess you already linked Tide.
Oh, dang,
Might as well.
Twixel. That's a good idea. I should have put chaos credits. Anyways, that is episode 0. Tune in sometime for episode 1. And,
Yeah, if not, yeah, we'll have to discuss that. But how are we gonna let people know?
follow
CV
the
will
fake
tweet it out on
Hundo.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, follow
We'll be
CV on
tweeting
Twitter.
about it.
Oh, yeah, do that. I was going to make a Twitter account right now, but that's a much better idea. Prepare for the air horn, because the soundboard... Oh, wait, is the soundboard gone again?
Soundboard's here.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see. It didn't make much of an appearance this episode. Well, maybe that was a good thing, but can't have a
Oh yeah.
completely...
Wow.
Oh, wait, there we go.
Wow.
All right, that's it for us. I'll link the Tide thing again. And just tell them, what's our right message?
Come see me anytime. I'll be your guide.
Yeah,
Agreed.
that's it.
Somebody else type it out because I
Someone
don't know
else
the
type it out.
exact
I don't know what
wordage.
it is.
I'm sure Claude does.
There we go.
I'm sure we scared
I
all
did
the
it
viewers
first.
away.
I did it first.
Yeah, you did. Oh well.
Okay.
And that's it for us, so everyone say goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.
See you next.